January 5, 2021 to order. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
We start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
I
pledge
pledge allegiance
to
to
the
the flag
flag of the United States
United States of America
and
and to the republic
for which
which
it
stands
one
one
nation,
nation under
under
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'll take a motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
For a second,
Second.
moved and seconded. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, and Ricky's not here yet. Does anybody know, is Ricky coming?
Last I knew he was coming.
I'll pop him a quick text. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
It's just the
I think
fact
he-
Melanie was texting him.
Yes.
He was here. Oh, there he is. Okay. All right. So first up, we have public comment. So does anyone have anything that they would like to bring to the select board's attention that will not be covered on this evening's agenda?
Yes, Nancy Finland and I have something we'd like to say.
Okay, Bonnie and Nancy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And first, thank you all for the productive conversations we've had with all of you over the past week or so. You've been receptive and positive, and you've listened, and you've given us helpful suggestions on how to proceed with our initiative. We do appreciate that. At your suggestion, we've prepared a concise statement. But let's start with a question. What if there's a way to stop climate change while boosting the economy and putting money in all of our pockets? We, along with Maine Citizens Climate Lobby chapters throughout Maine and New Hampshire and the Climate Action Net, are advocating for carbon cashback for Maine, a climate solution that pays families and works for everyone. We seek to open a local conversation on a national policy, the goals of which are to put a fair price on carbon, return the collected revenue to U.S. households, generate millions of jobs nationwide, and reduce carbon emissions by 40% within a decade, to mention just a few of the benefits. There are currently 10 bills being considered, one of which would accomplish this. They're currently in the U.S. House of Representatives.
To that end, we wish to gain endorsement of the article Maine Resolution to take action on climate pollution. The article states that since changes in climate are costing all of us in Maine and will continue to do so, we are urging the federal government to take action by putting a price on carbon. Specifically, 60% of Belgrade's tax base is lake-related. Lakes are experiencing changes due to climate change. The article also states that the Select Board will communicate in writing the passage of the article to Belgrade legislators, to Governor Mills, to our members of Congress in Washington, and to the President within 30 days of a vote. This local initiative is one part of the CCL's effort to advocate for carbon pricing legislation. A dozen Maine cities and towns and 28 New Hampshire towns have already made endorsements. We have so far enlisted 35 town champions in Maine to work with their town governments on this goal. We aim for 50 towns in 2021. Since we know that each town approaches such matters differently, we ask the Belgrade Select Board for guidance on how to get support from the town for this initiative. We look forward to discussing next steps that you recommend. We're happy to do a more formal presentation at a future meeting at your earliest convenience. And thank you for your time.
All right.
Thank you.
I have a question. The 12 main towns and the 28 in New Hampshire, do we have some copies of what they have done?
Yes, I can get those for you.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if we just saw like a couple, because, you know,
Sure.
depending on if it's a city council or if it's a select board, town manager form of government, there's different guidelines. So I know originally we were talking about a warrant article, but on our warrant, it tends to be monetary,
Right.
except for things like electing the moderator or, you know, things like that. So some examples would be fabulous because it would give us something to go by, some sort of a template, if this is something that we wish to pursue.
So how
So-
do you wish to move forward? How do you want to move forward with this? Do we put it on an agenda?
We would put it on an agenda so that, and if Bonnie and Nancy want to come up with some, hey, how'd you get in here? You know, if they could provide some materials so that we could get a little bit more background. You know, and it's one of those, and if it's something that could be accomplished with, you know, does it have to be a warrant article? Can it be, you know, a declaration from the Board of Select persons? Like, what avenues are available to us?
Right, and that's what
So
we're,
when do you want to do that? Do you want to do it before or after we get the budget straightened out?
Well, I need to get the budget straightened out first. I would
Okay, all right.
think, because I think we're too late to put something on this year's warrant,
yes.
but it doesn't mean that, you know, if we decide to do a declaration, that isn't something that there's a time constraint on.
Well, we could do it, say, in the February, early February, after we're done with the budget stuff.
Yeah, that would be good, because I think January is about full up.
Yeah, we're pretty stressed with the budget stuff, so that
Now,
would be my suggestion, is that we move it to one of the February agendas.
does February work for you, ladies?
Oh, absolutely. Just let us know.
yes,
Okay, so what we'll do, Anthony, do we want to take a look at where we're at, maybe halfway through January, just see what we have for that first one, and if it looks like a light agenda, then we could tuck you ladies in, and if that one is too full, maybe we could move you to the second one in February. Okay. Does that work for you, Anthony?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, does anyone have anything else that they would like for the select board, either on this item or anything else that they would like to bring before the select board? All right, seeing none, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We look forward to hearing what you have to say in February.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Materials that you asked that we send, should I send them to you, Melanie?
That would be perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to send them to me, and then what I can do is either pop them out electronically, or if somebody wants a copy of it. Anthony's pretty awesome about helping with that.
That's great.
So I'm a hard copy girl. I like to leaf through and have all my stuff. And all right, first, next up on the agenda, we have old business. And the first item is the approval of the December 13, 2020 Select Board meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, it's now open for discussion. Oh, sorry, all those in favor? All right, now it's open for discussion. Anyone have any concerns with those meeting minutes? All
I
right,
do not.
perfect. So, hold on, I have to boot the dog out of here. Come on, you. She was climbing around on a bean bag. That was not going to end well. All right, so Kathy, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Ricky, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Dan?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. All right, next up on, we have the Town of Belgrade Board of Select Persons meeting minutes from the December 15, 2020 meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second it?
First, seconded. All those in favor? All right, it's now open for discussion. So the only thing that I had is on the bottom of page 1 and the beginning of page 2, where it says, Mr. Damon moved to table the item until January 19, 2021, so the committee could study the issue and offer recommendations. In the meantime, nothing should change. And if I recall correctly, we did say the procedure for the nonprofits wouldn't change, but the board did not want the town's bottles commingled from this point forward, or from that point forward. Am I right or wrong on that? Ernie?
I heard that talked about, but it was left unchanged to my knowledge. And it's up to the, it'll be discussed at next week's transfer station meeting. Because there was talk about it shouldn't happen, but yes, it should happen. The town employees should take them, but no, they shouldn't take them. So there was a lot of gray area there, and there was nothing decided about that I'm aware of.
I agree with Ernie.
Yep.
Okay. And Ricky, did you have your hand up too?
Yeah, I think I kind of said that, let's leave it alone until after, leave everything the way it is until after it went through the transfer station committee, and then it's back to us and we'll make the final decision.
Okay. Because I know we had gone around and around, and I was like, were we like, stop that now? Were we like,
That's right.
wait.
I think it had been enough.
Okay, and Bruce, did you also have your hand up?
You're muted.
All good. Everybody took care. Everybody answered the same thing. It was to be left the same until after the transfer station meeting.
Okay. All right, then my point is moot. Did anyone have anything else?
Nope.
All right, seeing none. Ricky, what's your pleasure?
Yes,
And Kathy?
Yes.
I'm like, where'd you go? Somebody else joined. I'm like, I can't find anyone. Ernie?
Yes.
And Dan?
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. Next up, we have consideration of committee appointments. First, we have Mike Garino for the Lakes Committee, and he would be a Friends of Messalonsky representative. Hey, Mike, nice to see you.
Hi, everybody.
Feels like it's been forever.
I know.
Hi, Mike.
Hi. Hey, Kathy. Yeah.
All
Yeah, I've been
right,
locked up.
so
So I make that motion.
is there a
Second
second?
that.
Okay, motion and seconded. Mike is open for discussion.
For
I
me,
have
You-
I'm
I
ready
have
to go.
nothing to open.
You ready to rock and roll with us?
Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to it, actually.
All right,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you being willing to join.
Thanks. Well, I wish you all a happy new year.
You
Thank
too,
you.
your whole family.
Hope
Everybody's,
to see you soon.
no, I'm missing hugging people. So virtual hug, Mike.
Yeah, right on. All right. Take,
Right, so if there isn't anything else here, let me pop right around. Dan, do I have?
I'm gonna do the same thing I've been doing right along, and I'll say it now to cover all three. I'm gonna vote no on all of them, just because I don't think we need another committee. I think we should have put it together with an existing one. It's just one more committee.
Okay, Kathy
Yes.
and Ernie
Yes.
and Ricky.
I'm gonna be like Dan. I voted against this committee and I'm gonna vote no.
Okay, so we have 3 and 2. Welcome aboard, Mike.
thank you.
You voted on all three of them?
Nope, that was just that one.
Mike Garino. Still
So
need Mike's.
next up, we have Lenny Reich. And Lenny would like to be on the Lakes Committee. And Lenny would be representing the McGraw Pond Salmon Lake Association. Take a motion to open that.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second it.
Okay, it's open for discussion.
Good evening.
Hi, Lenny.
Hi. Hello, and
All right.
I have no discussion.
Like seeing no discussion. All right, Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
And Ernie, what's yours?
Yes.
And Ricky?
What about no again for the same reason as Dan did? I don't think we need another committee.
Okay, and Dan?
No,
Okay, 3-4, 2 against. Welcome aboard, Ernie. Lenny. Sorry.
thank you.
All right, next up, we have Michael Barrett. And should we take this? Is everyone okay if we open the discussion and do both the lakes? Well,
Yes,
if there's a couple that are going to vote no, do we want to split them then? Because
Yes.
one is for Lakes Committee. So first up, we'll do Michael Barrett's application for the Lakes Committee. And Michael would be representing as an at-large appointee. And I'll take a motion to open that.
I'll make that
So
motion.
moved.
Okay, moved and seconded. It's open for discussion.
No discussion.
right.
for me.
Seeing none. Mike, you cannot retire, can you?
I keep trying, but it doesn't work.
Doesn't, it's hard, isn't it? You get sucked right back in.
They pull me out and then they suck me back in. That's right.
All right, so if there's no more discussion, Dan, how do you vote?
no,
And Ricky, how do you vote?
oh,
Kathy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ernie, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, 3-4, 2 against. Welcome aboard that board, Mike.
I'd like to thank Dan and Rick. They only two that voted the way I was hoping.
Yeah, that's how most people are thinking when they fill out that application. Boy, I hope they don't take me. All right, next up, we have Michael Barrett's application to be on the Roads Committee.
make that motion.
Is there a
I'll second
second?
that. Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. It's open for, is there any discussion?
Nope.
All right, seeing none. Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes.
And Dan, what's your pleasure?
yes,
And Ricky,
Yes,
Ernie?
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. Well, that one's unanimous, Mike.
Thank you all.
did
Thank
we
you.
vote the right way, Mike, that time?
What's that?
I asked Mike if we voted the right way that time.
You done good.
I appreciate all you're willing to do, Mike.
Haven't shown up yet.
That's true. Luckily, we can just do it now right from home. All right, next up, we have Bruce Galusha's application to be on the Budget Committee.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
that.
it.
Wow, look at all the seconds.
Mm.
All right, that is now open for discussion.
I don't think there is any.
I don't think so. Bruce, you sure you want to do this? Well, we're glad to have you. So,
You filled out the
May I
application.
say something?
yes.
Bruce has been a dedicated and loyal, hardworking member of that committee for a long time, and I think definitely deserves to come back. And I'm glad to see you all voting for him.
We haven't done it yet, but we will.
I'm assuming you will. If you
All
don't,
right.
I'll resign my other.
Is there any more discussion? All right, seeing none. Ricky, how do you vote?
Yes,
Kathy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Dan, how do you vote?
yes,
And Ernie, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. You're a shoo-in, Bruce.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, next up under new business, we have discussion of the following matters related to the 2021 town meeting.
Before we do that, may I say something?
Sure.
One of the things that has always impressed me about the town of Belgrade is the willingness of its citizens to come forward and do civic service when they're called upon. And I think that the people that are willing to populate and participate in these committees are nothing short of the real heroes of this community. Period. And that's all I have to say.
I would put
Amen.
an exclamation point on that, Kathy. Maybe even two. And I
Okay.
agree. All right, so we have for our consideration, town meeting details. The select board previously agreed to conduct a referendum town meeting on Saturday, March the 20th. Town clerk Mary Vogel and the town manager recommend the following plans. So I'll read right down through this. Warrant articles must be approved no later than January 18. We have a meeting scheduled for January 12th for the final approval. The annual report will be sent to the printer at the end of January. Printing takes about 2 weeks, after which they will be mailed. Residents should receive them by late February, early March. We have to hold a public hearing no later than 17 days before the election, which would be March 3rd. And this can be done via Zoom. The Communications Committee also plans to organize an online community conversation about the items on the ballot. So the public hearing would be just on the referendum articles or the whole warrant, Anthony?
Well, of course, the whole warrant will be on the ballot.
Yeah,
So,
we'll all be referendum.
yeah, so we'll answer any questions that anyone has about any of the warrant articles. And if you guys want to, I mean, we could go ahead and just schedule that date right now. As you saw in the memo, March 3rd, we just have to have it before March 3rd. So if you guys have a time when you would like to do that, we could go ahead and schedule it right now.
Do we want to do it at the March 2nd select board meeting? At the beginning of the meeting?
Perhaps one thing to consider is that absentee voting will begin on February the 19th. So I don't know if you might want to have that prior to the opportunity for people to cast absentee ballots.
Right.
So should we look at the 16th select board meeting?
Does that give time enough for it to all get printed up? Or are they going to be printed?
Yes, we'll, it may not be the ballot itself, but we will have some samples for people to see. And we'll post those obviously on the town's website and on our social media as well.
Okay, so the 16th of February is an okay date to do that? For what is it, the public hearing?
Yeah, that would be the public hearing. And then the regular select board meeting.
Do we all agree on that or no?
Does that work?
I haven't heard anybody else, so.
What's everybody else's thoughts?
I was checking the dates to see what's going on, but I guess it'll be fine.
It's a regular select board meeting, so.
Yeah, so I was thinking if we have the community conversation and then we also have a public hearing on that. If we figure like maybe the first half hour or so of the select board meeting, we could go through that, answer questions that folks may have. See how many people show up. It's probably going to be more than any in-person public hearing. A lot of those, it was just the select board and Bruce. And Jack.
That's probably gonna be plenty for that night if you do just two things. And then go over the warrant and stuff like that. I don't think you're gonna have time to do much else.
Right.
So what you're saying, Rick, is the warrant and the public hearing for that?
And I
And
think in the public comment, that
the
would,
public comment.
yeah, I think that's gonna take up pretty much the whole evening.
Yep, I think you're probably right.
Okay. Let's see. All right, so So look, if everyone's in favor, we'll set the date for the public hearing for February 16th at 6:30 PM.
It's okay by me.
I'll make that, you need one.
All right, I was gonna say, I'll make the motion. We'll consider Kathy a second. And then all those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, February 16th at 6:30 PM.
Should we do a storm day just in case? We're in February.
It's via Zoom.
If it's snowing, I'm not gonna be, but you don't need me.
Oh, well, that's what you think. So should we set a storm date for the following? No, will the following Tuesday pushes too far out?
Why doesn't, just the
Just go with that
17th?
day. Let's go with that day. I can get on my phone in the truck if I have to. Fine.
Do you want us to set one, Ricky? Because Kathy's suggestion to do it on the 17th might work.
Let's just go with the 16th and see what happens.
Okay,
I don't want to make a bunch of dates and then we get them all screwed up and fine.
check your farmer's almanac.
Yeah, because the only thing is with a public hearing, it has to be noticed so far in advance.
Yep,
So I think if we're considering setting a snow date, we should probably do it now. So I'll amend well, do we want to take back our votes and I'll amend the motion?
I don't think you need to do a snow date. You didn't add that to yours. So let's just go with what you said. And where we're on Zoom, we should be fine.
If the power should go out, people won't have internet.
That's true.
I think we should, make a snow date for the 17th. In the event that power goes out, internet goes down, and we're all screwed.
Right. Let's hope it's not out for 3 days.
Yeah,
All right. So I'm just going to ask Kathy, will you rescind your vote?
yep.
Ricky, will you rescind yours?
Yes.
Dan? Ernie?
Yep.
All right, so we'll rescind all 5 votes. I'm going to amend my motion. And we will set a referendum, a public hearing for the town warrant articles. My brain just went bleh for a second. That date is February 16th at 6:30 PM for that public hearing, and we will set a snow date for 2/17 at 6:30 PM. All right. So is there a second on that one?
Yes,
All right, motion and seconded. Ernie, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Dan? Dan, I think you're muted. Yes. Ricky?
Yes.
Kathy?
yes.
All right, 5-0. That was almost painful. All right, so reviewing of the 2020 actuals and the 2021 proposed budget. I will apologize. I didn't get home till like 6:03 tonight, so I got through about 2/3 of the actuals and had to call it.
So there were just a couple of things that I wanted to hit, just high points, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have just about the budget. On page 4 of your budget.
Now, was this page 4 of the custom budget report?
Correct.
Okay.
Our actuals in 2020 were a little above what we have budgeted for benefits, both for the town manager and for the code enforcement officer. I don't know if we want, we know that our health benefits are not changing in the coming year. And so we may want to increase each of those just slightly, just to reflect what the actuals in 2020 were. And then also on that page, and we're going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about this during the town manager report, but just to give you a heads up, at this point, we have included some funding for for personnel for the planning board, because those secretarial duties have sort of grown beyond the capacity of our staff at this point. And so where that was previously 0, we have put some money in there, but that's something I want to talk about during the town managers report at the end of the meeting. On page 9, and this is something else that we will talk about later in the meeting, but I just want to draw your attention to it. We currently have budgeted $2,500 for electricity for the streetlights. We would increase that to $3,500 if we add the village lighting to that. And again, that's an item that we'll be discussing a little later in the meeting.
I did make a note of that on mine because I was like, well, if it was $80 a month for the village lighting, that would encompass $960 right there.
Right. And then lastly, there was a question raised about the cemetery budget at our budget workshop because it looked like it was going to trend, the actuals were going to trend well under the budget, and that in fact proved to be the case. And so we have reduced Chris and Phil Sprague and I met this morning, and we reduced that budget by $5,200. And so you can see that that's more in line with what we actually spent in 2020. And part of that increase is related to, we're going to be rebuilding a fence around one of the small old cemeteries. I believe it was the Bickford Ellis Cemetery. Phil, am I correct about that?
That's right.
And so those are the main high points. We incorporated all the changes that we discussed at the budget workshop. And so if you saw something between the actuals and the proposed budget that you'd like to discuss, I'm happy to do that.
So I did notice we added pest control for the cemetery. Was that? What are we controlling?
They're in the garage.
Okay, so that's the garage. Quick question on page 3, the town office. So under administration continued, just refresh me if you can, Anthony, under special projects. We had budgeted $3,500 last year and expended $456. And I know some of that was different because of COVID, but then we're back at 3,000.
Right. So the 3,000 you can see under special projects, there's a note that's for records preservation. So we didn't really have an opportunity with the election this year to do the records preservation. Of course, we didn't have the budget approved until July. And so, but those are things that we need to do on an annual basis.
I was thinking, I was like, is that carried down there? Because it's hard sometimes to follow that across. Lien discharges, we bumped up to 2,500, but we seem to be spending less than that every year.
We could reduce that.
Was that something where we could?
We spent $1,700 in 2019, so we could reduce that from $2,500. I would recommend $2,000 just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe if we've got a little wiggle there. Hold on, I had some notes here. There was something about the flowers for the town office that seems to stick out. Did we eliminate that?
We did.
And I know we were eliminating the cake. I wondered about that one because that's when we usually send flowers if somebody retires, if there's a death,
I think I can speak for the town office that if that were to happen, we would just take up a collection amongst ourselves.
Or maybe it would be something, depending on who it was, that the select board could use the contingency fund for if we need to.
Correct. Yeah, you've got that line item, I believe it's $7,500 for special projects for the select board.
All right, did anybody else have anything? I say, I honestly only got about halfway through.
No, I didn't really have anything. And if I did, it was something really teeny tiny and insignificant. I appreciate the custom budget report because it was easier for me to anyway, to sort of look at past years and think about what the flow has been like, particularly in this COVID year when things have been a little nuts.
Yeah, and I think I really like this format as well, Kathy. I think we've sort of hit upon something. It's we've had several different iterations, but I think we've found a format that's going to be really helpful to the board and to the budget committee.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm flipping pages back and forth all the time.
Well, and I think this was how we used to do it. So if we've got a nice template that we can plug this stuff into, it's so much easier to read.
So Nicholas, thank you very much. Are you there?
He hanging out here?
Yeah, he's there.
Where's he hiding? There
Thank
he
you
is.
for,
I'm
Thank you,
here.
Nick.
Yes,
thanks
you're
for
very
all your
welcome.
work, Nick.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Nice
thank you.
tie. Nice tie, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Ernie.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Are we getting any COVID money? Don't get any.
No. So the CARES Act, you may recall, the latest version had no money for states or for
Nope.
municipalities. The first bill that was passed by Congress had money for municipalities with populations of $500,000 or more. So Congress has yet to approve funding for municipalities that would touch us.
Schools are getting it, correct?
Schools are getting some. That's correct.
No, Anthony, we did have some folks that were out because of COVID who had come in contact with folks. Were we able to use the COVID funding for those folks' wages, or did they have to use their personal time?
The only people that we've had that have had to quarantine were volunteer firefighters.
Okay. Which we still
And-
did. Yeah.
And that was because they suffered, not because they came in contact with a COVID patient, but they suffered a PPE failure during a call. And just to be on the safe side, they quarantined until they could get tested. They all tested negative.
Okay. All right, let's see. All right, if we are, oh, Dan?
Do have one other question. Obviously, when we budget for people that have sick time coming to them. Does this new budget have the federal mandated sick time budgeted in just in case though?
It does.
Okay.
We're aware of that new
Just wanted to
mandate.
make sure because, they can add a couple weeks onto somebody's sick time.
Yeah,
Right.
Because what is it, an hour for every 40 that you work, correct?
that's correct.
And is that how ours is set up anyway?
Yes,
Well,
is.
It seems like that's how you can acquire it.
Well,
we
that's the new state law on sick time, correct?
that's right.
It's
Yeah, I thought I read that. this
Federal,
afternoon.
it was 40 or 80 hours flat, COVID sick time. Because I know it's on a line item on my paycheck stub from the company I work for. So I have that actual 2 weeks extra sick time on the books that I can take if I have to.
Is that something that we're gonna have to be doing? Because I know when I read the state law about the hour for every 40, I was like, well,
Yeah,
we're
I mean,
already doing
that's the new
that,
state
so.
law. But I know back during that original bill that the legislature passed federally, it added sick time to every employee's time. That if they got sick, they could be out for 14 days and it was paid sick time.
Huh, see, with the way that, yeah.
But that is more of an indirect cost though than a direct cost.
Right. I just want to make sure we had some little wiggle room in the budget if something happened. obviously gonna be paying it.
Now, is it guaranteed? Because I guess the way I'm looking at that, Dan, is yours has done it that way. The way O'Connor's has done it is that if you're out for, you know, a COVID exposure or anything like that, that you have those 2 weeks, but you have to actually submit documentation. So like what I had to do is I had to have my sister's positive test with her name blacked out so they could see that. And then I had to have 2 follow-up negatives.
Yeah, and again, I don't know how the federal thing is worded. I'm looking at the paycheck stub from the company I work for right now, and down at the bottom it says FFCRA paid sick time 80 hours. It's an additional to my normal sick time.
Yep.
So I just want to make sure that we're covered if something happens.
So Anthony, is there a way that we can look and make sure we're complying with federal?
Yeah, we are complying. I mean, Nick and Mary and I are all aware of it. And like I said, it's not a direct cost. It's an indirect cost to us. You know, the only way it would be a direct cost is if we had to call in somebody to fill in for someone additional hours to fill in for someone who was sick. Otherwise, it's an indirect cost.
So we're covered.
Yes, we're covered. It's not extra money that we're having to expend unless we call someone in to cover for that person.
Okay.
Oh, you're just paying their normal time.
Correct.
You just what, Dan?
You'd just be paying their normal time unless you had to have somebody come in to fill in for them.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you had to have to fill in for them, it's obviously another week's worth of pay for somebody.
All right, if we beat that one to death, let's get on to the review of the proposed warrant article verbiage.
Yeah, and so I sent this to you guys initially right after our budget workshop. And what I was looking to do was trying to consolidate some articles and to condense the language in some others. And as a for instance, I just, pardon the pun here, but I just plowed all of the public works into one article as opposed to having 2 or 3 articles as we have in the past. And really and truly what I'm wanting is just sort of your feedback on if you think, first of all, that you like the way this is done. And then second of all, I wanted just to call attention to just a few things, those empty bullets that you see in your memo. The first one being that, and we borrowed this from a neighboring town, but they, in their warrant articles, they had the amount raised through taxation at the bottom of the articles, and then indicating any special revenues such as the undesignated fund, or in the case of our second firefighter, the funding that we're getting from the town of Rome for that. Just listing all of those out so that people could have a better sense of how much of their tax dollars is are being appropriated to support that specific activity. And I was just wondering if you guys like the format of that.
Well, it read quite easily. I'm looking for it now, but I
am too.
I remember looking at it and thinking, it was quite easily read and I thought easily understood.
Yeah, so for instance, so in the samples that I sent you, Article 14 for Public Works, you can see that you have all 3 of your expense items, your general road maintenance, your plowing and sanding, and your sand and salt. And then below that, you've got sort of your special revenue funds. And this year, we're proposing a transfer of $20,000 from the undesignated fund. Last year, it was $20,000 from the roads capital reserve. And then below that, you could see to be raised through taxation. And that would give people an indication of how much of their tax dollars are being spent to support that activity.
Yep.
I think that explains it pretty well.
You like that, Rick?
I like it better than what we've had.
Oh, good.
I agree. It actually makes sense.
Okay, good. Well, then let me ask about Article 5. That is our lake improvement article. That's the special request from the lake associations.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
That totals $40,000. Right now in our water quality improvement fund, we have $39,719. Wanted to see how much, if any, of the water quality improvement fund you wanted to appropriate to that lake improvement article.
I would say none.
What article was that, Anthony?
That's Article 5, Rick.
Is there a reason why we have to carry a balance in that account, or, I mean, of that amount?
Well, and I was just thinking that I would say none, because I'm sure some of the efforts that they normally are able to put forward with milfoil prevention and mitigation and things like that, a lot of that was curtailed this year. So I don't know if next year, if they're gonna ramp it up.
They actually did more courtesy boat
Yeah, they
inspections
did.
this year than they did last year.
And they also brought in more milfoil than they did the previous year. So I don't know that I would characterize that they had curtailed it.
So can I just ask again, so we raise and appropriate $40,000, that goes out to those groups in general, much like the other amounts we give to the other warrant articles, for literacy or elder services or whatever. So why do we retain this $39,000 in this account? Is it meant to stay there, or is there meant to be a balance in this account, or is it, do we raise and appropriate the 40,000? It goes out to those groups until next year. Why do we have a balance?
Yeah, well, that water quality fund originally, before we started having people ask for $40,000 a year, that water quality fund was supposed to be the only thing funding any requests. If we had a violation come in, we put the money into that to use for these water quality issues, and we were limiting people. If we only had 30,000, you couldn't get more than $30,000 that year. Then all of a sudden we started having people come in and asking for a flat amount every single year. So, I mean, the water quality fund's there to use for that. So it doesn't make sense to have a bunch of money in it. It's a place for us to put the money if it comes in from fines or wherever we're designating it from, but that's where we should be pulling it out of first.
Yeah, and so that fund, just so you guys are aware, is populated by, as Dan mentioned, fines in the shoreland zone, and then also boat excise taxes. Half of the boat excise taxes that we collect go into that fund.
So
let me ask another question.
go ahead.
And it's along the same lines. As I looked at that, I thought, I understand what Dan is saying, because I remember when it was started that it was to be used for the water quality improvement. Is there any reason why we also can't put donations in there from the general public if they wish to? Let's say you had a Belgrade citizen that was interested in water quality and they wanted to put money in that fund. Is there anything to stop us from doing that?
Probably not.
No. I mean, because I would think that should fall under the same things where the select board can accept gifts and donations on behalf of the town for specific purposes, like we did for the fire and rescue department.
Right. Okay, I just, it occurred to me that that might be another source for revenue for this particular fund.
So could I just make the suggestion that, I mean, we've got $39,000 in there. What stops us from raising and appropriating $20,000 for this article instead of 40, and taking 20,000 out of the 39 and, to make the full 40? Is there anything stopping us from doing that? Is that
Nope.
not wise?
No,
I
that
did.
actually, that was my thought, is that I, rather than totally deplete it.
Yeah.
That it would be nice to keep some in there. And I don't know, I guess the other question I don't know, and is Jack still with us here? Whether or not does that money get invested that's in that water quality fund? Does that get handled so that we make a little bit of money on it every year from investments or a bank account or whatever? Just asking.
Yeah, I think, Nick, are you aware, is that money in a interest-bearing account?
I'm not aware. I would have to look to see about that.
It shouldn't be in any other different account. It should be just bundled with the town's money and then we just.
That's correct.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. Yeah, it's all bundled in that one account. Yes, I guess it does generate a little bit of interest with all the other funds that the town has.
Now, do we know how much was put into that? Do we have any violations where there was a monetary settlement that went into that? Is that where the money from
Yes,
side went?
yes,
Did Brightside go in there?
yes.
I remember we had that discussion, so I wasn't sure.
And just FYI, in 2019, that article was funded just as Ernie suggested. $20,000 came from the Water Improvement Fund and $20,000 was raised and appropriated.
I guess I might make a motion that we do that again.
I would second that.
Okay, and then Ricky, you had something?
Well, I don't think we need to worry about where the money's coming from. I think we need to how we're gonna disperse it.
Well, I was just gonna ask, do we get like anything itemized from the various associations that shows how the money's being spent?
Yes, as
Yes.
part of the warrant article.
Yeah, I thought
And-
so.
And so when you look at Article 5, it shows how much is going to each of the lake associations. Some of that is for courtesy boat inspections. Some of it is for milfoil control.
Melanie, I think you got a motion and a second on there to,
We do, and that's why we're finishing the discussion.
okay.
Does anybody else have anything else on this? So the motion on the floor is to raise and appropriate 20,000. Right? Wait a minute.
Yep. Yes.
So
We don't have to raise it. We would appropriate it, right?
Yes, we would raise and appropriate 20, and then we would appropriate an additional 20 from the water
Yes.
quality.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, seeing no more discussion. Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes, please.
All right, Ricky,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ernie.
Yes.
All right, 5-4-0 against. Let's change her up.
Okay, so Article 10 is the article that in which we set the interest rate for late tax payments. I'm actually going to be meeting tomorrow with Becky Seal on some proposed forever articles. And she mentioned about this that she says state law actually requires that we put a specific percentage in there. As opposed to 1% above the TAN, and then at that time the voter doesn't know what the TAN interest rate is going to be. We won't know what the TAN interest rate is going to be in March. We won't know that for a few months afterwards. She also said that because that article addresses the interest rate charged for late payments and the interest that we would abate someone for an overpayment, those should be two separate articles because a voter might want to vote for one and against the other. And so you may want to consider setting a specific interest rate for late payments. That's what we do for the abatements. And just as a reminder, 9%, you could go up to 9%. That's the maximum amount allowed by state law.
Yes, I want to speak on this again.
Yes.
I think we went through this last year and trying to change that. It's crazy. That's not what we're here to do. And I don't know why all of a sudden it's come up again that the article's wrong. We've had this same article for years. Yeah, we've changed the rates in there, but I'll tell you, if the rate goes too high, I'm gonna vote against it and I will do whatever I need to do.
Well, I think, Rick, what Becky is suggesting that, for instance, this past year, the rate was 2.79% because it was 1% above the 10. And we found out some months later that the interest rate on the 10 was 1.79%. If you want to set the rate at 2% or 3% or 1%, I think what she's saying is it's advisable to do that so the voter knows exactly what they're voting for.
I don't think we've had any problem with it being the way it is. That's my,
Did she say it was a law that we need to follow or what?
Hold on, I have her email right here.
Okay, I'll get to you, Dan. One sec.
No problem. While Anthony's looking it up, I was just gonna make the suggestion, if we have to set a rate, why don't we take last year's TAN and add the 1% to it? And then next year, we'll take this year's TAN and add 1% to it.
Yep.
go along with that, Dan, but. don't go
I think
up-
I think that makes sense.
But that'll give you a fixed number.
Yep.
Are we? Well. I
So
don't-
we would just change the wording to a rate of 1% per annum higher than the interest rate on the tax anticipation note from the previous year's budget.
Well,
No, I
what
think what you have to do is you'd have to put it down like this year as 2.79%.
Correct.
Tom? Oh, you're muted, Tom.
Can you hear me?
We can.
The state of Maine's current delinquent interest rate is 5%. The Internal Revenue Service rate is 3% plus the short-term borrowing rate, which right now is practically zero. So essentially, they charge whatever they're borrowing money at plus 3%. So the town of Belgrade basically is definitely towards the lower end of the scale.
I guess so.
I think we've historically been at the low end of that scale.
From what I remember of the conversation last year, there was no stomach for increasing the interest penalty for late payments, which was meant to create an incentive for paying taxes on time. We don't want to stomach having that conversation, correct?
Right.
So we won't.
That was the cover. So Dan, your suggestion is setting it at 2.79%?
Yeah, for this year, and then next
Yeah.
year, we'll look at the TAN for this year and add the percentage
Right.
onto it and come up with a number for next year.
Gotcha. Well, makes
Still
sense to
keeps
me.
it low, and it's basically the same thing we've been doing.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So that's easily done. On Article 11,
Hang on. Wait a sec, because we have to vote for that change.
Okay.
And then, of course, Becky's saying that we have to split that article into two. Because then we have to have the second will be the interest will accrue, and there might be a separate interest rate for that, for the abatement, right? She say
Yeah,
those have to be split?
so what she says is this may not be clearly illegal. But interest charged on delinquent taxes and interest that must be paid to a taxpayer who overpays are governed by two different statutes using two different rules. These are distinct policy issues related to these different types of interest questions. I think they should be split into two different articles so that voters are not asked to vote yes or no on the entire article, especially if the articles will be voted on by referendum again this year.
Okay, so that makes sense. All right, Bruce, did you have your hand up? No, okay. All right, so Article 10. So is everybody in favor of splitting the article?
I'm not sure why we gotta. We've been this way for years. Why have we gotta change it? It's gonna make it more complicated. Now people gotta vote on another whole article. This is crazy.
think we're just following Becky's advice. Is that, I don't know if it's crazy or not. It's just her advice to do that.
I don't know if we need another article. I mean, if you want to split the language in the article, it says, you know, we're going to charge 2.79 and we're going to pay 2.79 and still make it one article.
Yeah, I'd be in favor of that because that kind of addresses the issue, I think, doesn't it?
Except the town paying back if folks pay late and then their taxes are abated, we've always kept that amount lower than what they would be paying for a late charge.
Yeah, 2.79 is nothing. I mean, it's low.
So make a motion, Dan.
Well, I want to find out if we're willing just to keep one article and just split the language.
I'd like to hear what it sounds like in one article.
Oh, that's just that I don't have the original article here.
So I think if you have it in front of you, the second sentence, the back half of that sentence would simply say interest will be charged at a rate of 2.79 per annum. Yeah. And then in the sentence right there, then interest will continue until the tax and tax lien are paid in full. Additionally, to see if the town will set the interest rate to be paid by the town on taxes paid and later abated at 2.79% per annum.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Well, I would second a motion like that.
All right, so there's a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
So we're leaving it one article, correct?
correct.
That's what I hear.
Hey, yep.
Tom?
I think traditionally, the interest rate for abatements has been lower, or for refunds. And where can the town get 2.79% on their money?
Can't.
I mean, they can pay to borrow at 1.79, I think we're talking about, but it's pretty hard now for the town to basically accrue interest at that rate. So I think the rate on the refunds basically should be lower. And I think that's fair.
I agree. Where do we go from here? If we can it continue to be one article and we split the language to that effect, that
You
we
can change the
we
amount
pay,
of it.
you know, we pay the TAN rate and we or the penalty is the TAN rate plus 1%. The rebate rate is the TAN rate. I mean, can't we specify it that way?
Or is it cleaner if we just keep like, is everybody comfortable with 2%?
I'm fine. I'm fine with that. I just don't want to see it become unwieldy and be two articles. The simpler, the better.
What did we give as an interest rate for abatements last year?
2%.
2%.
So why don't we do the 2.79 and then 2%?
I think that's fine.
And I think if we're legal to keep it in one, let's keep it in one.
I think it's legal. I think she's just figuring people may vote yes on one of them and no on the other. Just, you know, I say keep it as one.
And if they voted down, well, we're SOL.
Okay, let's go.
We'll change it next time.
I never have before, so I don't know why we're worrying about it this time.
Right. So the motion on the floor changed. So we had the discussion part. So if we can rescind the second on that, I think that was you, Kathy.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, and Dan, can you rescind your first, your motion? And then there's going to be a new motion on the floor by you, Dan?
Yep, same language, just 2.79 for the first number and 2% on the second.
Okay, and I'll second that. Is there any discussion on the new article? All right, seeing none. Kathy, what's your pleasure?
Yes,
And Ricky, what's yours?
Yes.
And Dan?
Yes.
Ernie?
No,
No? And, okay, 4-1 against.
All right, and so I've been convinced that alternate Article 11 is a bad idea, that it's better to have the detail that we usually have in there for the revenue article. I'd like to skip that.
Mark that.
Article 12, however, I did include in this of the general government, the insurance, the TAN, and the debt service, because this is an effort to try to consolidate some of the articles to reduce the number of articles. So taking 4 articles and making them into 1 article. And I do believe that our insurance cost, our TAN cost, and our debt service does fall under, sort of just government administrative costs.
okay.
So what do you guys think about including that in the general government article?
I don't have any problem with it.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that looks okay.
Okay. So Article 16, so I did try to do something different with this just because that's kind of an unwieldy article. And I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this. So instead of listing all of the facilities individually for the facility maintenance budget, again, we're talking about Article 16. I just put the total amount for the actual and the proposed for facility maintenance. Thoughts?
That one's got to be split out. I would think we've got to have a little bit more clarity there.
Well, in trying to, abbreviate these articles, we talked about having detail in the town report and an abbreviated detail in the articles themselves. So is that still our thought? So could you abbreviate this article with just a total facilities maintenance budget figure, and then have the detail of each individual facility that we're maintaining in the town report? So we're transparent with the amounts to the voter, but we're trying to keep the articles tight. Is that the way I understood it?
Nope, that's correct. But I would picture that someone's going to think facilities and grounds, and they're going to think there's a couple of parks and, we got 3 or 4 things. Nobody's going to really be like, this is the Center for All Seasons, Peninsula Park, Hayden Park. So we don't have to split out each park. But I think if we're clear with where that money is going, because otherwise it could be like 239,000. No, because it shouldn't cost us that much for maintenance on what we have.
I get it. Sure.
Yeah, I just think the big ones like that we can't. I feel like we can't rely on people to take a look at that number, take the time to go back to their town report and see how we broke that out.
I think there's logic in that thinking, Melanie. So we'll just keep the detail in there. And lastly, we typically have contingency articles for the library and the recreation budgets. But those are because those budgets are always on the secret ballot, and you need a contingency article on the floor in case those get rejected on the ballot. Now everything's on the ballot. So, and this was actually Mary Vogel's idea. I think she suggested, I think this is a good suggestion, that we just have one contingency article that allows for departments to continue to operate from the undesignated fund should that departmental budget fail until voters can approve an updated budget at a special town meeting.
I think that'll work.
I do too.
Okay.
I sort of think like, why not? Why not?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I don't see in the contingency article where it says to take it out of the undesignated fund.
No, that's something that came up with, because otherwise, how are you going to, let's say, for instance, worst case scenario, the fire department budget gets rejected. So at that point, how are you going to, we're not going to stop operating the fire department.
No,
But
you're
how are you
not.
going to fund that operation? And so, our idea was, will you fund that through the undesignated fund until we can get an updated budget in front of the voters at a special town meeting?
Right. Gives you something to work with in case there are, as you say, the worst case scenarios, it fails.
Melanie, you got a question up there.
Sorry. Barbara?
Hi, I'm not Lenny Reich anymore. I'm Barbara Allen. Does that apply to any department, not just to the library and the rec department?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, on this particular contingency article, did I miss a part there about the library? Because this one just has the recreation department.
So there's, well, I mean, we had the contingency articles in there, but as it's something that we typically have on the warrant, but as I thought about it, we typically have that because those are the only departmental budgets that are voted on by secret ballot. And this year, everything is going to be voted on by secret ballot.
Well, and I think we had discussed last year too, that we didn't necessarily, if we ever get back to real town meeting, that we no longer had to have those articles the day before. Because when those went to referendum, it was via petition. And that petition is only good for that year.
Yeah, I think if I recall correctly, the town moderator suggested that we don't have to do that forever and ever. Amen. It's the board's decision what things to put on the ballot and what things to send to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you guys are good with that, then when we meet next week, I'll have the language for you to consider for that contingency article. I'll actually send that later this week. Lastly, you guys wanted to go ahead and consider your recommendations on some of the warrant articles that only the board offers a recommendation for. That is the articles that won't require a budget committee recommendation. Those are articles 8, 9, 10, and 19. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and consider your recommendation tonight on those articles.
Sorry.
What time is it?
It is 7:43.
Okay, so warrant article number 8.
That's on the moorings
Yeah,
ordinance.
that's an easy one. I feel like we set the time to do this and put it to this meeting. So if we can pop right through it, we should, because it'll save us time at the next one.
Okay.
So Article 8, to proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following questions. Shall the town approve an ordinance titled Mooring Regulations Ordinance? Previously, we had 5, 4, and 0 against on the select board.
Well, that was just to put it on the ballot. So I didn't know if you guys wanted to take a vote as to whether or not you think this is something that the electorate should pass.
All right. Dan, what's your pleasure on this one?
I'm not crazy about it, but I guess yes.
Okay, Arnie, your
Well-
thoughts? Arnie,
Well, explain it to me again. What are we talking about here?
this is just to put on the warrant. This is the select board recommendation to proceed with the voting on the following question. Shall the town approve an ordinance titled Mooring Regulations Ordinance?
Oh, yeah. All right, yeah, I'm in favor of it.
Okay, and Ricky? Nope. Kathy?
Yes, I think it should go before the people.
All right, and I'm gonna say yes on that. So 4, 4, 1 against.
Well, I think it ought to go in front of the people. I thought the question was, do I support this article?
But this was the
No.
recommendation.
The recommendation is for it to go on the ballot.
No, that's the recommendation we already, right. That's the recommendation we already did. This is whether or not Am I correct with this, Anthony? This is the select board's recommendation that will be printed on the warrant article.
Yes, so you guys have already voted to put it on the ballot, so it's going to be on the ballot. My cursory understanding of town meeting is just that recommendation is for the voters to know if the select board thinks that they should pass this ordinance.
Okay,
Answer still no.
Okay.
so we're still 4-1.
Actually, I think I'm gonna change mine, Melanie. I'm gonna go no.
Okay, so 3-2. Kathy, are you still on the yes side?
Yes,
Okay. All right, 4-2 against on that one. Article 9. Under general government, to proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question, to see if the town will authorize the board of select persons to act on the following. To spend an amount not to exceed 1/4 of the approved budget for 2021 between January 1, 2022 and the date of the regular 2022 town meeting. And vote to accept any and all overdrafts and balances that have lapsed and are not otherwise directed to the undesignated fund. All right, Kathy, what's your pleasure with that one?
yes,
And Ricky,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
All right, 5-4, 0 against for select board recommendation. Article 10, to proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question. Well, this is the one that we just took care of.
Yeah, so I think you guys have already voted on this and it was a 5-0 vote, so
Yeah, so this is the setting the interest rate one.
correct.
And 19.
I think it was 4-1, actually. That's all right.
Oh, you're right, Ernie. My mistake. Thank you for reminding me.
And what's the last one? Article 19, to proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question.
So this
we-
is just
Yeah.
to do the Friends of the Library mowing and plowing contract. That article only applied to last year. It seemed to work fine for us this year, and I think the Friends and the library were also pleased with the service. And so what we'd like to do is just make this into a perpetuity article until it's changed by a vote of the town.
Good.
Well, I don't know.
sure, why not? Why not? I guess that's my question is why wouldn't we?
Don't turn annual contract up to 3,000. I just worry about last year was the first year that we did it, and for us to rush to make this a perpetuity article, because it really depends on who we have for facilities maintenance and whether part of their job becomes bigger, or if the Friends of the Library isn't happy. It doesn't mean the person doing it now is going to be doing it 10 years from now. So I worry about jumping right into making something a forever article when we've only been doing it for 12 months.
I guess I'll speak on this too if I can.
Okay.
Last year was a pretty easy year for mowing at the cemetery. There was no rain, so the grass didn't grow very much. If it's a rainy spring and rainy summer, these guys are gonna be pretty busy at that cemetery. I'm not sure they ought to be biting off any more they can chew.
Well, you're right. We didn't have to mow the cemetery as much this year, but we were also shorthanded this year because we did not hire our additional seasonal worker this year because of we're trying to cut costs with the pandemic. So even in a busy year, we would have at least one more person on a mower during the summertime.
Sounds all good, but wait till a rainy year, see how it goes. I've been there.
Well, and that's what I say. I mean, I'm happy putting this forward this year for 3,000. 2 years from now, the cost of that may change a little bit.
I'd rather see it go through a normal year, at least one normal year before we start doing it forever.
Okay, well, let's just, let's just remove the last sentence and,
Sure.
that's
You've
more
convinced
palatable.
me.
Okay, so Article 19 now reads to proceed with the voting by secret ballot on the following question: to see if the town will authorize the Board of Select Persons to enter into an annual contract with the Friends of the Belgrade Public Library for up to $3,000 to be paid by the Friends to the town for plowing and mowing services to be performed by the town at the library property on Depot Road. All right,
Yes,
Kathy, you say yes?
I do.
All right, Dan,
Yes.
Ricky,
Guess so.
Ernie?
Yes.
All right, select board recommendation 540 against.
Okay, and so I will, like I said, I will have updated articles for you guys later this week, and then next Tuesday, the board and the budget committee can finish its recommendations.
Okay,
Okay,
moving to my next thing.
that's next Tuesday.
Yes, ma'am, next Tuesday at 6:30.
All right.
That's the 12th, right? Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, right behind this, Anthony, we have the Maine Municipal Employee Health Trust. What does that go with?
That's just a memo that I provided to you guys earlier, in which the MMA just informed us that they would not be increasing our health insurance rates in the coming year.
Okay, I was like, I don't know where this belongs on the agenda. I'm just gonna flip it sideways. Okay, so next up, we have the consideration of paying the electric costs for village pedestrian lighting. So we,
I make a motion that the town does pay that lighting.
What's it cost?
About $80. It's right there in the
Yeah, it would be approximately $80 per month.
month.
There it is. Yes, okay. I see it now.
so, but we also have to make sure that we read the 2016 agreement, because in the 2016 agreement, it does not say that the town will pay for the lighting. It says the Friends will pay for the sidewalk lighting.
Hello, Melanie.
Hey, Diane. But including but not limited to. So that's why I wanted to make sure when I spoke to Anthony that we all had this 2016 agreement. So if there's amendments to the agreement, then we need a new agreement.
And I would actually advocate for that. I think there are two flaws in this, and one is that the electricity cost would be paid from an escrow, and eventually the expense of that would deplete the escrow account. So I'm not sure that that's a good financial management plan for paying for the electrical cost for the lighting. The second thing is, that is our busiest thoroughfare in town. And, I just believe that the street lighting is a public service, and that public service should be funded by the public as opposed to by private taxpayers, private citizens.
Right, but it's not the agreement.
I agree. But what I guess what I'm saying is I support your idea that we should amend that agreement to make it a better agreement.
Okay, so who's going to work on that?
Diane's had a hand up a couple times here.
Diane?
Thank you very much. I guess we, I thank you for letting me represent the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village here and asking the select board to consider assuming the expense of the Main Street pedestrian lighting electricity. I just kind of have a little statement we put together. We feel that this is an appropriate time to make this request because the town's LED travel lights and the pedestrian lampposts in the village are now working together. So let me explain. Between the savings from the LED lights and using the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village lampposts to safely illuminate Main Street, The town has a lighting package that's been reduced electrical costs by our estimate to be approximately 12% per year. So we've been told that there were 50 overhead streetlights and they've been reduced to 44, 6 of those being taken down within the Route 27 Village Thoroughway. So that comes out to about a 12% reduction. Since these were travel lights, we assume that they were the higher wattage lights and probably the more expensive ones. Because the town was able to use the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village's lampposts for adequate lighting throughout the village, they were able to remove these 6 travel lights. In this way, the town has also avoided the expense of converting those 6 lampposts to LED. We were told that cost was approximately $500 per lamp, therefore $3,000 upfront costs. And they were able to reduce those travel lamps as they were told by state law enforcement and Maine DOT that the travel way was illuminated, safely. So to the 2016 agreement, these unanticipated financial benefits were not taken into consideration or even thought of when the Friends signed the agreement back in 2016 with the Select Board in order to enable the sidewalk lighting system enhancement project to move forward. The 2016 agreement with the Friends was signed as the town anticipated an increase in the electricity expense for the lights. That was one of the high points, was these lampposts are going to cost money. We never anticipated that the installation of the pedestrian lighting would be able to reduce the number of the overhead travel lights by 6, a huge adjustment. We anticipate an even smaller ongoing yearly cost for electricity because a dawn to dusk system was installed and paid for by the Friends back in August of this last year, 2020. So we haven't even really seen the benefit of what that dawn to dusk lighting system has done. Now the pedestrian lampposts contribute not only to the aesthetics and safety and ample lighting, but also a significant financial savings to the town of Belgrade. We ask you, 1, to take over the future cost of the electricity for the lampposts, and 2, to amend the agreement between the Select Board and the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village to reflect that change. Additionally, I know we're talking specifically about the streetlights, but I know there was a memo from Anthony, and the final paragraph on that also talked about the village light account. And so additionally, as the Friends reviewed our financial documents for the end of 2020, we noted some clerical and accounting errors related to that account. These have been noted to Anthony and to people within the office, and we have a list of that information and did some investigating into those accounts. And so we do have that documentation available, and if you want this presented at another time, we'd be happy to do that as well. And I guess.
So Diane, what you're saying is the amounts on the memo are not correct.
No, I mean, in related to that final paragraph, there's some discussion that has to happen there. I think, I know that tonight you wanted to talk about the whole street light. I also wanted to make sure that because that last paragraph was put in there, and Anthony informed you that there was an account open, that some of that has not been documented correctly either.
So what Diane is referring to is that, well, first of all, strangely enough, the DOT has not invoiced us for the final payment on the project. And so we'd like to go ahead and close the books on that project. So I plan on contacting the DOT and asking them to send us the final invoice. Last year, when Mary was the town treasurer, she sent to the Friends the interest that was earned on that account in 2019. The Friends were not given the amount that was due to them for the interest earned in 2018. And now, of course, it's earned interest in 2020. And so the Friends will be do that as well. So, we're going to do some double checking just to make sure those figures are correct, and then plan on placing both of those expenditures on an upcoming select board warrant.
All right, Jack.
Just an operational sort of a question. Who is responsible for the controls of those lights and for any repairs that have to be done? Is it the town or is it the Friends?
So the repairs of the lights is our understanding that it is the escrow account of $10,000 that the Friends has given to the town. It's supposed to come out of that.
I'm asking who is the person who is responsible, the go-to person, if there's a problem with the lights, if there needs to be a change in the control of the timing, whatever.
I would say.
Who does that?
I would say that Anthony is the one that's in charge. I mean, the lights are owned by the town. They are property of the town of Belgrade as a gift from the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village and accepted by the citizens of Belgrade back in March of 2017 or yeah.
And so far that's worked smoothly. I think there was an
Yeah.
issue with the lights back last summer or something. And so the Friends contacted me and I contacted Dan McKenzie and he was Johnny on the spot.
Okay, so that's all I just wanted to make sure that was clarified. Yeah, is that covered in our facilities budget?
Well, like Diane said, there is an escrow account to help support the cost of those lights if something should happen to them.
Okay.
And so we've created a special revenue fund like we do for some of the other things that we have. It's not exactly a capital reserve, but it is a special revenue fund.
Okay. Thank you.
Ernie?
So I made something of a motion that the town should take on this cost. That makes some sense. I can withdraw that motion. I'm guessing probably what needs to occur first is somebody needs to reword the agreement so that the town can take over this cost. The savings that Diane articulated about what the town saved in converting those 6 lights to LED, approximately $3,000, and then not having to operate those 6 lights, does provide, an initial savings right away, which, would pay for the operation of the electricity of the current streetlights. So maybe that's the direction we should go first, to amend the agreement so that, the town. It seems premature for me to make for anybody to make an motion that the town should pay for this right now, before the agreement is changed to allow that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't see that we can do it without changing the agreement.
Yeah.
And we also have a warrant article that states the same, to see if the town will vote by secret ballot to accept a conditional gift of funds from the Friends of Belgrade Lakes Village, a nonprofit corporation, for the purpose of funding sidewalks and pedestrian lighting for the 2018 road construction of Route 27, blah, 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 in the amount of approximately $495,873. To accept additional funds in the future for necessary maintenance of such improvements, to establish a Route 27 enhancement escrow amount, to hold these donated funds and to appropriate and spend such funds for the purposes described herein.
Yeah. So that's been.
Yeah,
that doesn't need to be changed. That doesn't need to be changed, but that's been accepted. But the agreement between the town and that we're looking at here, needs to be adjusted somehow so that the lighting is addressed. I don't know who, words that exactly or comes up with a draft of that.
Well, I'd be happy to work with the Friends on that. I think
Could
that's
we-
something that,
Thank you.
Could I just add an addendum to this is that, we've discussed sidewalk clearing of snow, which, potentially, fits into this as well, this agreement somehow as well, in that the Friends, whatever, we knew we were gonna have to deal with that at some point, just like we're dealing with this lighting issue now. And if, when you work with the Friends to reword, perhaps there could be some addressing of that issue as well in this agreement.
So can I speak?
Yes.
So Anthony said that you guys have a copy of the agreement right in front of you as I do. And, that this agreement, I will say, does specifically include on item 3, the fact that the included but not limited to the electricity utility costs for the sidewalk lighting system. So I think that's the one section that if we were able to, we could adjust to help to allow the town to pay for the lighting costs. But as far as snow removal, those words were never, put into this agreement. And I think it has been from day one, always something that was not part of this agreement.
I agree. I don't think I see anything that relates to snow removal, but I also I think they're, forgive me for saying so, but I think they're two different items. I think that for my money, they're two different items. This is about the lighting and the capital trust fund or the escrow account or whatever you want to call it. But it seems to be all about the lighting. Installation, operation, maintenance, repair, sidewalks and lighting system. Anyway, that's my thinking, is that what we have in front of us here needs to be reworked and updated to deal with the lighting situation. And then I think that the snow removal is a separate topic. I don't know how other people feel about it, but that's sort of the way I feel about it.
Well, because it feels like to me, snow removal should be considered maintenance. And according to this agreement, the town will provide the maintenance for the sidewalks that were upgraded. As long as there's money in that account. And then I think it says at the end that if there's not money in that account, then the town may elect to discontinue maintenance and changing the material to asphalt. Bruce?
Stand up.
Bruce?
So I guess my first question would be, is where it was voted on by the taxpayers, if you make a change in that, does that have to go back to town vote or not?
Well, it looks like what the town voted on was accepting the gift of funds for the funding of the sidewalks and pedestrian lighting, and to accept additional funds for maintenance.
Does that mean the board could make a decision, change that agreement? Or does that have to go, I guess that's my question. Can the board make that change, or does that have to go in front of the voters?
I feel like it's got to go both, because I feel like this agreement was then put into this warrant article.
Okay.
And so it feels like if we change this agreement, we have to take it to a warrant article, I would think.
Okay. And my other thing is on the snow removal, it was told to the taxpayers that we would not have to do snow removal. So I think that discussion definitely needs to go to the voters, in my opinion. That's just my opinion on that. But that's how it was worded, is we wouldn't have to do snow removal for the sidewalk. So I think if that's gonna be a issue, I think that should go to the voters on the snow removal. on the lighting, I don't, in my eyes, I don't have a problem either way on the lighting. I just want to make sure everything's clarified legally, so we're not, caught doing something we shouldn't be doing on that part of it.
Well,
Right.
and when I look at that warrant article, to me, it doesn't speak to the ongoing operational cost of the lights. And so I think if we limited our changes to the agreement to that, I don't know that we would need a warrant article that would require voter approval.
I agree.
Well, but it feels like this warrant article, though, Article 11, was directly attempting to take this agreement and compact it in a way that the taxpayers can understand. So because the board in 2017 didn't pull out enough detail, doesn't mean that this is not what the taxpayers were voting on, because it says, for the purposes described herein, which is this agreement. So in the 2016 town report, there should be a copy of this agreement that this warrant article addresses.
Well, and I'll be happy to look at the town report from that year to see if that's the case. But it seems to me that if the intent was to have the voters ratify the agreement, that's what the article would have stated, that it would ratify the agreement as opposed to accept the conditional gift.
Can I?
Yes,
One
go
more
ahead,
time.
Marianne, and then Army.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, yeah, I feel like the Friends signed an agreement with the select board outlining all of these items, much like the agreement that they, or in comparison to the agreement that they signed with the state, tried to using some of the items and lines or whatever. I feel like the warrant article, at the time, I have a feeling the select board wasn't sure that the Friends would ever be able to raise those funds for brick sidewalks or pedestrian lighting. And so it was at that time that it was just the gift of those funds that needed to be accepted by the town because they were a specific gift. I think I totally agree with Anthony in the discussion of this as it went down that, that warrant article was specifically about the funds needed to complete that project.
So because it looks to me, this warrant article would have been March of 2016. This agreement is April of 2016. So this agreement postdates the warrant article acceptance.
No, I think it's
No, you're
backwards,
right.
Melanie. The warrant article was approved at the town meeting in 2017.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha.
If I may, the point that I was trying to make about the rewording or the drafting of some changes is that we're seeing now that there's some ambiguity about what about what the word maintenance means. Does it mean the paying for the lighting, or from this account, or can the town do that? And there is no specific language about snow removal. So and I know in the past, when the sidewalks weren't constructed yet, it was thought that we're going to have to deal with this at some point, but we didn't specifically deal with it. So in the same way that the electrical costs for the lighting, the ongoing electrical cost monthly of the lighting wasn't specified in this wording. The sidewalk snow removal wasn't specified either as maintenance, or that the town should do, and there's been some discussion, I know, amongst the Friends of the Village that that escrow account was, in their minds, was specific to the repairs and maintenance of the what they thought was the maintenance of the actual sidewalk, meaning as the bricks break up, 10 years from now or what have you, if a light pole, rusts out early or something like that, that's what those funds were for. Not the ongoing monthly costs of the electricity and or the seasonal costs of the snow removal. So, I just think when those two details, need to be worked out in some fashion, because as Anthony stated, I think it's good fiscal policy. You can't pay for snow removal and electrical costs out of this escrow account only. And so in some way the town needs to, step up in some fashion to figure this out with the Friends of the Village. And if it needs to go back to the town, then I guess, that'll be determined at a later date, depending on what, if the board can do this or not, but so that's a topic we've already discussed, the snow, and we've tabled it to give it some more thought, and this is part of that thought, I think.
So if I may, I think what I would like to do is just have the select board bless my working with the Friends on the necessary changes to the agreement, and then add $1,000 to our street lighting budget for the coming year to accommodate the additional cost.
Well, we haven't decided yet on, I don't think we've decided yet on the town paying those additional costs. So I'm not opposed to that, but yet.
Well, and my concern is, we got to get this budget approved.
Yeah.
And we'd rather have the money in there and not use it than need the money in there and not have it.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we certainly have saved money in the town to afford to, pay this electrical cost. That's clear from Diane's figures.
Michael Barrett's either trying to get our attention or trying to fly, one of the two.
Mike?
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, for what it's worth, having been involved with this darn street project since 26 or 2008, I certainly, in my mind, never thought that paying for the lights, the illumination part of it, the electricity part of it was a part of this deal. Maintenance, yes, as Diane pointed out, if a pole rusts out early or some such thing, yes, that's what that escrow account is for. It's in my mind, it's a town responsibility, the lighting, and the same goes for snow removal. And snow removal was not, I don't remember it being discussed at all in this whole project. It's a separate item, as Kathy points out. We batted around snow removal the whole time I was on the board, and then some, and kept putting it off because nobody wanted to put it before the voters because it's such a pain in the neck. So, but that's the case. You're going to have to face snow removal one way or the other, but don't lay it on the Friends. Thank you.
We get back to what we're here for. We're off on snow removal. We need to get back onto whether we're gonna pay for the lights or not.
Well, I think what we're trying to figure out, Ricky, is if we can add that in.
I understand, but we're going all over the place here. We need to stay to the topic where we're supposed to be.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, how do you want us to bless Anthony working with the Friends to reword that agreement so that we can decide the electricity cost issue? Do we want to make it
And I don't know that a motion is needed, just some direction from the board, and we'll crank something out pretty quickly and bring it back for your consideration.
Let's do it.
That's fine with me.
So I don't have a concern with paying the lighting, but I do have a concern with us reworking an agreement. It's no different than us saying that the 2011 agreement that we made with DOT for salt well remediation to take care of 5 wells, that we need a new agreement because now it's 13 wells. So the first agreement gets thrown out with the bathwater because now we've had some time to think about it and there's some other stuff involved. So I think we've got to be cognizant of that. But I mean, I don't, we were paying for the lighting before, so I don't see an issue with that, but we got to figure out when you make an agreement, you make an agreement. So what do we have to do to undo?
I think it's a simple matter of amending the agreement.
I do too.
Yep.
And then we take a look at it and see what it looks like. We're not getting a divorce here. We're simply amending something and reworking it and taking another look at it. Time changes. It's not the same as it was in 2016 or whatever, things that we didn't think about before. I'm looking at the signatures on this agreement, and none of them are here. Rick Cameron, he's the only one that's here still.
Still a binding agreement.
He's been here forever.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm talking about institutional memory as to, what it's all about. Anyway,
Yeah, I just think we know what we did. We know now what we didn't know then.
well, yes, that happens, doesn't it?
We did not talk about power that I remember at all. There was already lights there, so we didn't talk about it.
Yep.
We talked about the lamps going in, but we didn't ever talk about who was going to pay for it.
Well, and that's why it feels like that one should be kind of a no-brainer, but the way it's worded, where is the operations cost different than the lighting with their, it's like,
Yep.
since snow removal is not part of maintenance, but then, is weed removal around the sidewalks, will that become an issue in the summertime? Or, we gotta look at the whole thing.
Let's take a look at the agreement they come up with, and then we'll decide yay or nay.
Okay, but we have to decide on the lighting. We have to decide on the lighting tonight, because if that's the case, we need to increase the lighting budget.
Well, how much money did we save by putting in LED lights?
We saved $7,500 per year.
Okay. So $1,000 a year.
Yeah, and
We pay those electrical costs, and we're still on the winning side.
yeah, and I'm soon going to bring a proposal for some solar net energy billing to you guys that will result in another $4,500 reduction in our electrical
Don't
costs.
confuse the issue.
Well,
Don't
and
confuse-
$1,500 of that is related to streetlights.
Good.
So I think what we're just trying to figure out is whether or not we can add $1,000 to the warrant article that has to do with overall lighting for the town. Are we bound by any sort of an agreement not to add that into our costs?
Well, we can budget whatever figure that we want to
Yes, we
budget.
can.
So at this point, Diana, the funds being invoiced as CMP.
Oh, yes, we have a separate account.
Okay. But you're getting like an invoice from CMP or from the town, and then it's paid out of that account?
No. The town has a specific CMP account for the streetlights.
Yeah, so the lighting bill for the pedestrian lights goes directly to the Friends, and the Friends pay it.
Correct.
Okay, and that is $80 a month.
On the average, yeah.
We're looking for a motion to increase the lighting budget by 1,000, and the town takes over that $80 a month cost. Is that?
Well, I don't even think that we
I
need a
think we-
motion. I think we can just add it in there, and it'll be part of the warrant articles that you guys vote on next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with adding the 1,000 to make sure that it's there as we try to figure out the other pieces.
Do you
But
need a
that-
motion for that?
No motion needed.
Okay. Because we'll vote on the budget article.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dan, you're sitting there pretty quiet.
I just keep reading that agreement over and almost every single line it talks about the operation of the lights. So, I mean, that whole agreement's gonna have to be completely rewritten.
Well,
Well, and
they'll
kind of,
study that.
well, and it would be a totally different agreement because this agreement was changing the sidewalks to this material and installing all of these other things, and that's done.
Yes,
You
but
can't have
again,
an
we don't,
agreement now where in 2020 we agree to something that's already done.
but we don't have to have an entirely new agreement. Agreements get amended all the time. It's just an added document that you add to the current agreement, just amending some of the terms of that agreement. I don't think that we have to come up with a whole cloth new agreement. I think we just need to
No, you can just
amend
make
it
it
and address the terms.
Yeah.
All right,
We'll get it done. It's not
See
going
what
to
you
be
can do.
complicated.
All right.
Thank you.
So we
Thank
had
you.
a- Thank you, guys. All right, next up is the consideration of an excise tax reimbursement request.
Mike Barrett.
Michael Barrett's trying to say something.
Yeah. Disappeared. I just wanted to say, I'm going to leave now, and I want to thank you so much for reminding me how much fun these meetings are. Hope to see you again soon. Take care, folks.
Thanks, Mike.
Sure.
It's a tough job you've got. I know that firsthand, so keep it up.
Thank you. I wish we could solve everything like at each meeting, but we just can't.
Okay, what's next here?
Next up, I just said is the consideration of the excise tax reimbursement request.
Okay, so I emailed you guys earlier today. I invited the lady who's making this request to come and speak to you. She chose not to. She just wanted to forward you her letter. If you have any questions about it, Mary, are you still here with us?
Yep, she's there.
She's hanging out somewhere.
She may have stepped away from her computer. I'll do my best. I'll do my best to answer it. But essentially, she's asking. Oh, there you are, Mary.
Yeah.
If you have questions, Mary can answer those for you.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The citizen bought a vehicle, paid the excise tax on it of $58. Couple
Right.
months later, the vehicle was stolen, burned. So the state refunded part of it, and then what did the state refunded the registration, and they're looking for us to refund. She's looking for us to refund the excise tax.
Correct. Yeah. So typically what happens is that they're allowed to transfer it to another vehicle, the credit that they have. And so we offered that option to her to transfer it to another vehicle. And she stated that she wasn't buying another vehicle till next April. And I said, your credit will run out by then. And she said that the state said they would reimburse. But, you know, I guess it's in the board's hands. You set a precedence because we don't refund typically people that have car accidents. We don't refund their excise tax because they've had a car accident. We allow them to transfer their credit to another vehicle of which they purchased.
Or if they sell a vehicle, because I went through that with you, Mary.
Right. And so, you know, the board can do it, but I would just be leery. You set a precedence when you do this, because if you do it this time and someone else comes forward, you know, with a similar situation, the state can refund the registration. She appealed to their sympathies and they offered to refund the registration costs. This vehicle was out of state. Her daughter used it out of state and it got stolen. So it's really in your hands.
And do keep in mind, this lady felt like because she got a refund of her registration fee, she automatically should get a refund of her excise tax. Those are two separate fees. You pay them at the same time, but because you get a refund of one doesn't mean that you are necessarily due a refund of the other.
And right now, she's within 4 months of registration. So actually, her transfer credit is only going to be half of the $58. So it'd be 27 or 29.50.
I'd say no.
So Mary, your recommendation is no?
That is my recommendation. I mean, I
I'll
don't
make that
want to
motion.
be heartless in this.
I second the motion.
Sympathize, but
But we've never done this before. I mean, it's not something we ever do, really, right?
no, it is not.
Nope.
Okay, well, why start now?
And can she transfer the credit? It has to be,
She has to transfer the credit. Her registration runs out in April. So when you're within 4 months of registration, the state takes in half rates for your credit. So I guess, yeah, right now she's $29 is what she's due. And she could use the credit. And we've offered that to her for a purchase of another vehicle, but she says she's not going to purchase another vehicle till sometime next spring.
Nope.
Okay, I'll make.
There's a motion,
I know, Kathy.
motion and a second.
I know, Kathy, and this is the discussion part before we do the vote. I get that. Does anybody else have anything? Thank you for your clarification on that, Mary.
You're welcome.
All right, seeing none. Ricky, what's your pleasure?
Yeah, we don't do it.
Okay, so your yes is a no.
Yeah, my yes is a no. That's it.
And Dan,
No.
Kathy,
No, thank you.
and Ernie.
No,
All right, 5 no's. Okay, next up, we have the consideration of animal control matters.
Yeah, so I'd like to reappoint Trish Davis as our animal control officer. I think she's done a really good job this past year. She's been very responsive, has turned over several dozen animals to the animal shelter. One thing though, I'm wondering if you guys would consider is, this has typically been a year-to-year contract. She said that she'd be willing to sign a 2-year contract that would prevent us from having to go through this again next year. Would you be willing to consider a 2-year term on her contract?
I don't really think it hurts us to do it a year.
I just like to be as efficient as possible, Dan.
Do we have all of the appointments though? Because we usually do the ACO, the health officer, the
Yes.
town historian. They are all 1-year appointments, correct?
Well, the health officer is actually 2 years.
He's
3 years, I believe. Mary, is that correct? 3 years for the health officer?
Right, 3 years
Yeah.
by state statute.
And the difference between the animal control officer and the historian, for instance, is this is a contracted position, whereas the historian is not.
Okay. And we can do this legally? We don't have to appoint an animal control officer yearly?
No.
Mary, you concur?
Yeah, as far as I know, yep.
I mean, as long as we can extend it, I just want to make sure by law that we don't have to appoint an animal control officer yearly. Can we sneak a peek at that and just make sure?
Yeah, so if you guys want to approve a 2-year term conditionally to just ensuring that it is in keeping with the law, that'd be fine.
Yeah, because I'm okay with that, because I mean, Kathy did it for years and every single year we appointed. So I would have thought we might have considered that before, if we could do it legally.
Okay.
So I'm comfortable making that motion. And does that also include a 3% raise? Is that for this year?
That's
And
for this year.
next year?
That's for this year. And what we can do is just add some language to the contract just to say that she would be eligible for the same sort of pay for performance increase as any town employee.
Mm,
Isn't she a contract?
She is.
Contract.
She is, but the warrant, but for instance, our plow contractor gets an increase each
That's
year.
in his contract.
It's in
That's
his,
correct.
but it's not a merit one or based on his worth. It's based on the increased cost of the materials and maintenance on, it's based on a whole bunch of other things.
I don't know, I'd still rather do this yearly.
I agree.
Okay, well, I don't want to belabor this point. So if y'all are comfortable with yearly, we'll just do it yearly.
And what about the pay increase?
I think she does deserve a pay increase. I think she did an outstanding job for us this year. This past year.
So we just offering it.
I'm sorry, Rick, can you repeat that, please?
I said, did she ask for it or are we just offering?
No, she asked for it.
So, yeah. I think that one I gotta chew on a little bit.
So what you're trying to decipher here is it only town employees paid hourly that get a 3% pay increase, and it does not apply to a contract worker? Is that what we're trying to split here?
Well, no, I think Anthony's saying it applies to only one contracted worker. Because we have other ones, the town historian for
Well,
one.
she's not a contracted worker.
Nope.
She does not have a contract.
That's right. Is there anybody else we have a contract with
Agreement.
besides the road work, the snow plowing?
Yes, the assessor.
Does he get a-
He has increases built into his contract.
I see. So I mean, if you want to word it that way, that we approve the contract with a 3% increase in the contract, we can vote that way if we vote on that if we wish.
So
but
we
it's
are
not-
talking about, yeah, and I just calculate real quick. We're talking about an increase of $123 over the course of a year.
Yeah, that's not much.
Well, it's not so much what it is, it's just making sure that we're equal right across the board with what we do.
Well, if we do it with other contracted workers, I would put it in this contract too.
And then it would carry forward if this were not our ACO, we had another ACO, would this be part of their contract as well? That every year they just expect a 3% increase?
No, I think that will be determined
vote
on a
on
year-to-year
this annually.
basis. Yeah.
If we vote on this annually, that means we can change it annually.
Well, she was a brand new contract. She took the job. She's only had it for 1 year. If she has done as the kind of job that you say she has, responsive, proactive, then it's a 3% raise maybe due her for the work that she's done to give her the incentive to stay in this role for us, which is important for the town. So the raise idea is as an incentive for town employees is applicable here as well. In fairness, right?
I agree. So do we make that a motion or how do we do it?
Yes.
We would make that motion.
I'd make the motion that we redo her contract for another year with a 3% increase.
I'll second that motion.
All right, is there any further discussion? All right, seeing none. Ricky, what's your pleasure?
I guess so.
Dan?
Can be throwing money
Yeah.
around easy.
It's $100.
Yeah, I was just, before I voted on it, I was just running through the calculator, which makes it like, makes her salary 12.875 with a 3% raise. So I don't know if we ought, instead of 3% raise, when we do contracts, we ought to just put in a dollar amount. I mean, if you guys want the 3%, that's fine, but it's just,
I'd leave it at 3%. I just,
Yeah. That's fine.
Well, is it extra work that required additional pay? So, because it's 5,000, right? Pay the first Wednesday.
That's how much that we have budgeted. This year, the actual was $4,100. 3% above that is an additional $123.
Okay. Okay. 1, 2, Kathy, how do you vote?
yes.
And Dan, were you a yes? You were Hannah?
yeah, I mean, I would have preferred to see it go to like $12.90 an hour, you know, and just make it simple,
But it doesn't sound like it's $12.50 an hour. There's like the $12.50 an hour is for anything above and beyond.
no, it's up on the top, it's $12.50 an hour plus mileage.
No.
No.
The
says
second paragraph, Dan, says pursuant to this agreement, the town of Belgrade will compensate Miss Davis a total of $4,223 for her services in
Okay,
2021.
all right, yeah, I see that one now. Okay,
So, and then the $12.50 an hour is on top of that for like dog licenses and things like that.
Good.
All right, so yes. Kathy, did I get you?
Yep.
And Ernie?
Yes.
All right. So 5-4-0 against.
And then secondly, I'd like you to approve the annual contract for the sheltering of animals at the Humane Society in Augusta. The terms of this contract are exactly the same as they were this past year.
I'll second that motion.
All right, motion and second. It didn't go up this year because God, I thought when I was looking at the budget that there was an increase.
Nope.
No? Nice. All right, let's keep that. All right, motion and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Ricky, what's your pleasure? Okay, Dan, what's yours?
yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
And 5-4-0 against. All right, next up, we have the town warrant.
So we actually have two warrants. One, and this is for the auditors, one is for 2020 expenses, the other's for 2021 expenses. I'll start with warrant 171. That's the warrant for 2020 in the amount of $588,504.89.
Make that motion.
Second,
Wait a minute, which warrant is that? You said
That's-
warrant one,
I don't have that.
171?
That's when you were sending out.
It was in the board packet.
It's in the board packet.
So
I have a warrant 171 that's for $6,375.69.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right, Ernie. I looked at the front page of one warrant and the back page of the other warrant. So
There
Ernie
you go.
is correct. Ernie is correct. Warrant 171 is for $6,375.69.
And that's the warrant from 2020.
Correct.
That's it. Finish it
All
off.
right, make that motion.
So
Second that motion.
say motion and seconded. All right. Any further discussion on those?
didn't we have the sander parts to hook it up and put the new sander in on one of the last warrants?
The last warrant, I believe Dan had the belts for tying it down. And these were other parts that were needed in order to secure it to the truck.
So they didn't do that all at the same time?
They may have gotten the parts from different places.
All right.
All right, Ricky, I see your face. But we can't hear you though.
I said, I don't know what it is. I think he had to go get a battery. I do know that. He called me 2 or 3 times, but.
A battery? So,
Yeah, he needed a battery to start the engine. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what he went and got.
okay.
He did
All
get
right,
some
see-
tie downs and stuff like that for it to ratchet it.
It's on the last one, I remember, because I asked about the
Yeah.
straps for it. All right. Kathy, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Ernie, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Dan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ricky, how do you vote?
Yep.
All right, 5-4-0 against on the end of the year 2020 warrant.
Yeah, so warrant number 3 in the new fiscal year is in the amount of $588,504.89.
Yeah. That one I don't have in my email.
I don't either.
I sent that one out yesterday because we
That
had to
came
wait
by,
until the new.
that came by email yesterday.
Yeah,
right?
it was the, we had to wait until the new year in order to have the first warrant of the new year.
I'll make
Right.
them.
I'll second it.
Well, we haven't had a chance to review it, so we'll just assume it's fine.
It's got a big chunk in it for the RSU.
Okay.
Didn't we big chunk them last warrant too?
I don't know. Did we chunk them in December?
Well, they get paid every
Early.
month.
Early December.
They get paid every month. So this
Yep.
is their January payment.
Yeah.
Okay.
God.
Yep.
All
It's
right.
it's a pretty short warrant. I have it here.
All right, was there a motion?
Yeah, I made it.
There was. Rick made the motion and Kathy seconded.
Kathy seconded. Okay. Any further discussion on this one?
No, I don't see
All right.
anything.
Seeing none, Ernie, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Dan,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
5-4-0 against. Next up, we have the town manager's report.
So as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, and I had emailed you guys about this previously, but we do have funds budgeted to hire some secretarial help for the planning board. Those meetings are now lasting 3 to 4 hours apiece, and it takes another hour or two to do the minutes. And so it's just become a strain on our staff. And so we'd like to search for some part-time help who can prepare the minutes for those guys. And we're initially going to start to see if we can just record the meetings and have someone take the minutes from the recording in order to try to keep that cost as low as possible. So that's going to be our first rattle out of the box.
Okay.
Additionally, I included this behind the town manager report. There's some paperwork there. It's the initial paperwork for Pat Jackson's permit renewal. And the town can review the application, but it can also ask the DEP to do so, which is what we did 5 years ago when this permit last came up. They're the experts, and that seems like a good idea to have them take the first look at it. So I'd like your authorization to sign that paperwork to have the DEP approve the application.
Make that motion.
Second.
Second it.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing none. Ernie,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ricky,
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes.
All right, 5-0.
And then just two quick things. The auditors will be in our office beginning on Monday. So they'll be working on the audit beginning Monday. We've already sent them a lot of information.
Can I ask you a quick
And-
question on that, Anthony?
Certainly.
It looked like in the budget that was presented, the audit went from 12,000 to 10,000 for next. And
That
is
was just to reflect the actual cost.
okay. So it isn't, I didn't know if we were doing stuff differently and there was because it would be
No,
a,
it was our first year with that outfit, and so I'm sure there was some uncertainty about what that cost was going to be. But we know them now, and they know us, and it should be more efficient this year than it was last year.
We don't have to buy them lunch this year.
That is true. They won't be hanging around much. And then lastly, if you like these Zoom meetings, the MMA is advocating the legislature to allow towns to conduct remote meetings permanently. So if you happen to know a state representative, and you like Zoom meetings, you might want to press them about it.
To look at the numbers on this, it's the way to go. I mean, there's still 11 people watching right now. Normally we're here by ourselves in a board meeting. So there was, I looked today, there's 26 or 28 at one time. So
yeah.
Wouldn't
So
in the
anyway,
pie.
that's the end of the town manager's report.
Yeah, see, I think the hardest thing for me is things like tonight where there is a wealth of information that we have to go through. I feel like we did better following stuff when we were able to meet in person. Because like the big paper packets of everything with a budget, we, maybe would have already filed them into our books, so it was easier for us to go back and forth. And I worry that some stuff we're missing because we're not able to meet in person. So that's the part I think as being on the select board that we struggle the most with, because we don't have access to information that's held in the town office. And so some of that disconnect, I do feel. I like the ability for us to do it remotely so that, we do have the increase in participation. And I don't know how going forward, if we can reconcile the two in a way that works.
I imagine if the legislature passes that bill, I think, the board will be able to have the option. There may be times where it feels it's better to meet remotely, and times it will feel it's better to meet in person. It'll be nice to have a choice, I suppose. I'm sorry for interrupting, Kathy.
Kathy?
No, that's all right. I just think that this year has been an amazing, excuse me, learning curve, I think, for all of us. Certainly having meetings remotely, trying to do business remotely was a new learning curve for me. I've not done that before. So I think that as we do it more, and I think as the rest of the world does it more, we're going to learn things, and we may be able to develop those efficiencies that you talk about, Melanie. How do we do that? Again, that's part of the learning, and I love the fact that we can have so many people involved in town government in a way that has not been possible in the past. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, because it's very different for people to get home from work, get in their vehicle, drive to the town office to be there at a meeting versus pop down in their kitchen, throw open the computer and feel like they're involved.
To say nothing of the fact that a lot of people get extremely anxious, speaking directly to a select board. This removes, this allows them, like the people that spoke to us this evening, it allows them a little bit of time of preparation, and perhaps they're a little bit less anxious, and they're more able to get their thoughts together to be able to present.
I'd like to see it go more towards a hybrid model if they ever get back to normal. I'd rather see the board, once we're back to normal, meet in person with a camera that's broadcast over Zoom, so that we're in person and you could still have people calling in through Zoom.
Could do that too.
We're gonna have to see how it all shakes out anyway, because right now, I mean, this Zoom's only in effect until 30 days after they come out of the state of emergency. So, I mean, we could at some point be 4 or 5 months between the end of the state emergency and when they actually pass a bill and it gets signed into law.
Yep. Okay, just, just sort of exploring, thinking about it.
Wow, definitely
I know.
this is a minus. This Ernie.
My point is, sometimes I was used to the face-to-face more, but and I think I asked a question some time ago, back before COVID sort of ramped up after the holidays. I don't know, several months ago, where I wondered how much longer we were thinking of doing this. But clearly, with Rick's immunocompromisation and just being an older people, or we're all immunocompromised to some degree. It's here we are. We're doing this. I never did Zoom before, until COVID, and I know in a few cases I've had a meeting with somebody in Bangor that in the past I would have had to drive to Bangor to go see, and I was able to Zoom it. It's really been a great thing. For some, I was having a brief conversation with somebody who was considering running for the select board, who said, well, sometimes in the winter she might go away for a couple of weeks to Florida. Well, with Zoom, if meetings were at least partially available as Zoom, you'd never have to miss a meeting. Our last short little meeting to deal with the warrant last week, I was in Farmingdale, but I brought my tablet with me and I was able to be part of that because I wasn't home. So it's sort of a unique feature if it can all be blended together, and somehow it's not only going to help us never miss a meeting if we're traveling or something like that, but it does aid all sorts of different people, citizens who tuning in perhaps just differently than they could through Facebook or the way we broadcast it online. Amen.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Are we done?
Oh, Ricky, I second
second it.
that.
I gotta go to work, so.
Oh, that's right. No rest for the wicked.
Is there snow out there?
Sand.
I'm gonna sand it.
Mhm.
All right,
Okay.
motion seconded.
Second.
All those in favor? 1, 2, 3,
Yay.
4, 5. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you. All
Bye-bye.
the best.
See you.
See ya.
Happy New Year.
Yep.